Hi, I'm Sean Carlock. Welcome to Send It Volume 7. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our Plus P throating technique. We've had a lot of customers call in, a lot of people calling in asking questions about it, whether it's right for them, whether they want to consider it for an existing rifle or incorporate it into a new build. So we'll just tell you what it's all about, and we'll give you the pros and the cons of it depending on what you want to do. The Plus P throating technique is all about the throat. So when we come out into the throat here, right where the rifling makes contact with the bullet, we reduce the diameter of the land-to-land dimension. So we have less rifling impression. This reduces pressure, but it still initiates spin, still initiates rifling and engraving, but at a much reduced pressure. There is no big long free bore. The bullet is not just flagellating down the barrel in some random manner through a bunch of excessive free bore. You can still seat right up and touch the rifling with this setup. Now, when you reduce that peak chamber pressure, you take a cartridge that's rated for 65,000 psi, you reduce that peak chamber pressure, you add more powder to it to get the pressure back up to normal SAAMI spec of 65,000 or whatever the cartridge is, and that additional powder you've added in there pays off down at the end of the barrel in the addition of 100 to 150 feet a second of additional velocity. If you look here at a normal chamber, and we have the cartridge coming in and seating into the chamber. Now right here is where the bullet makes contact with the lands. Here is the area that we do our Plus P work in. Now, the distance and the diameter that we use is not something I'm going to get into, because this is not a how-to Plus P your own gun video. This is a should you Plus P your existing rifle, or do you want to consider it for your new build kind of video. We just want you to be sure you know what you're getting into and why you might or might not want to do this on your project. Now, like we were talking before, when you reduce pressure initially, peak chamber pressure that is, and you have the ability to add more powder, you can pick up some velocity. There are certain guns and certain cartridges that aren't as much benefit as others. So if you're going to build a 16-inch barreled gun in a 260 Remington, say, that's not going to be much of a benefit to you, because it's a 16-inch barrel. You aren't getting hardly full burn of the powder you had in it to begin with, so that is not going to help you out a ton. The other thing about the 260 Remington, it's one of those cases that one of the better powders is H4350 with the heavier bullets. Most people are really happy with that, but you're filling the case up pretty good, and there's not enough room in most applications, depending on what overall length you're running, to add that additional powder to get back up to peak chamber pressure and get all of the velocity out of it that you should. If you take a 338 Edge or a 338 Terminator cartridge, something along those lines, the initial load before the Plus P chamber was maybe 96–97% of case capacity, so you had plenty of room to get that additional powder in there and get everything out of it that you could. Now, we've had a ton of questions about the Plus P throating since we first patented it and put it out on the market. But we've had the same questions over and over and over again, and we'll go over a couple of the more popular ones here with you right now.
Can you Plus P any cartridge?
You can Plus P any cartridge, any caliber, but like we talked before, some cartridges and some platforms don't benefit from it as much as others.
Can you Plus P my existing rifle or barrel?
Absolutely. You can take a gun that you've had for a couple of years and been shooting well, and send it to us. We can Plus P out of a barreled action on most actions. We can Plus P an individual barrel. So if you have a Savage and you want to spin the barrel off and send it to us and have your 338 Lapua Savage barrel Plus P'd, we can do that. It'll be the cheapest 100 feet a second you ever bought.
Does Plus Ping my existing chamber change the case or OAL?
When we do a Plus P round, we do not change the case in any way. It still takes the same dies, the dimensions are still the same. That work is all done in the throat. Now, to overall length, if you have a round that you're shooting and it is distance X, when we plus P the throat, it may make the overall length 2 or 3 thousandths longer, but it's going to be virtually identical to the overall length that you're currently using.
I want to shoot factory ammo. Will plus Ping my chamber help me there?
Okay, if you're not a hand loader, do not bother considering to plus P your gun. If you take a chamber, say this 338 Edge, and you put in your load before it's plus P'd and it shoots 2,800 feet a second, and you take that same ammunition and put it in a plus P'd chamber, it'll only shoot 2,700 feet a second or so from the reduction in chamber pressure. Now, if you're shooting factory ammo, the same thing is going to happen. You're actually going to lose velocity. So unless you're hand loading to get back up to that SAMI pressure, then you don't want to consider the plus P for your factory gun or your factory ammo setup. Now, there's one last question we've had, and I'll cover that in closing. Some people have called and said, hey, I want to have you build a rifle in one of your Terminator cartridges, and I want it plus P too. All of the Terminator cartridges have the plus P throating incorporated in their design to begin with. So that's already been done for you. If you want to send us your 338 Edge that we've done or somebody else has done and have it plus P'd, we can take care of that for you. If you have any questions about this, drop me an email or call us here at the shop. I'd be happy to answer them.